Fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone, to Zarema Spiritual Healing Center, House of the Way, where we respect all religions and spiritual traditions. And with every opening, we open it with a prayer. And David, I would like to ask you to set the current for us. Everybody, please mute your microphone during the prayer. Thank you.
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and continue to learn. Please continue the guidance that we need through our mentors and guides to continue to better understand and to use the lessons of Spiritism that are in the wonderful books that we have. We appreciate all the work that's been done by the people who've come before us, codifying Spiritism and bringing the other very helpful sources of information together. We ask that you look out for the other people that are part of our group that couldn't make it today. Please bring peace and love and understanding to the hearts of the people who need to be more loving in how they handle themselves and the rest of the world. Thank you again for this great opportunity to learn. Thank you to the mentors who guide our group, Dr. Paulo, Dr. Bezetta, and all the other mentors that are keeping us moving where we should. So be it.
And so it is. Thank you, David. So, Zarema Spiritual Healing Center is a member of the United States Spiritist Federation. Beliefs are around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of Spiritism. Manual, Spirit Mentor, teaches that knowledge and love are the wings for our spiritual evolution. Therefore, today's service, we have two parts. Speaking, where we have our participation is very important during the presentation that you'll hear today. And your mentor is supporting you with insights from the speaker and reflection and working along the week to sustain this energy, we ask, so that you can receive throughout the week, as well as share the energy and the message with others who are wishing to hear. The second part will be a hands-on healing. So please come back after the intermission for that as well. And the mentors are preparing all of us for that. So with every week, we have activities, services, and I'm going to go ahead and share those right now so we can see them. There we go. Are you actually able to see the services?
Yep.
Fantastic. Yes. Okay. So on Sundays, we have our spiritual education and healing passes, which we're doing now. These are all in Pacific Standard Times. Through this, we participate in the spiritual education and healing passes. And then we have at 6:30 to 8, And Life Goes On by Andre Luis, Chico Xavier. And that's a book study group provided by Divine Light. On Mondays, we have internal healing services. That's invite only from the members to participate. On Tuesdays, we have Healing and Self-Healing, a medical spiritist point of view by Andre Moreira, MD, and that's a book study as well, provided by Divine Light. On Wednesdays, we have fraternal assistance by arrangement. So please, if you need assistance, let us know in the chat and we'll have a member reach out to you. And then afterwards, or actually near the tail end of when that is occurring, we have a personal transformational book study with BSH. And then on Thursday, we have Living Spring, a book study with BSH as well. And there's a prayer and healing service every second Thursday of the month. And what we do for that as well starts around 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. We study the gospel according to Spiritism for the first part, and then there's a healing, and that's at a physical location. But you can participate in the gospel according to Spiritism study in the first half by the link, which is the same link as where we are right now. All this information is provided on our website at bshcenter.org. You can find out more about the center, more about our leading mentor, Dr. Paulo, as well as you can read bios of all the participants who teach for the educational purposes. So I invite you to take a look. Also, there is a donation section. Feel free to donate whatever that comes from your heart. We would appreciate you. And so I am going to stop sharing. And so, oops. Bear with me, I'm moving through different screens right here. So at this point, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, and that is Zarema Jagizarov, and she is a graduate of Azerbaijan Medical University with many years of clinical practice and expertise. She integrates the knowledge of modern medical science with holistic approach, and her passion is to improve the quality of life. As a certified Qigong healer and aromatherapy practitioner, she focuses on health restoration and strives for optimal wellness. As a staff teacher at the New York Holistic School, she conducts educational and consulting workshops on effective alternative health practices. And at this time, I would like to invite Zarema to share her presentation on what are we really eating. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'm really honored to be in this place because of Spiritism is one of practice I know, I wouldn't say deeply, but I had experience. So first of all, thank you. I'm here and I challenge myself a little bit because the audience really knows that stuff that I'm going to talk about, and is a little bit it's challenge for me because the auditorium and because I do this first time. So as a holistic healer, I had other talks about food, but to put together spirit and food, spirit, food and nutrition together is the first time for me. So I'd like to talk about nutrition, about food as energy. It will be first part of my speech. And then I would like to talk a little bit about my own experience with very interesting matter. And I think it will be just give some personal experience of it. So I will tell two parts of my presentation. So of course, field of nutrition is one of the popular today. Is nutritionist profession now. They call this NZ, like MD, but it's now ND, nutritional nutritionist doctor, nutritional doctor. So it's new field. It's very popular now. Everybody talk about, and very controversial. So because it's changing a lot, changing all the time. It's our presence in this life right now. Everybody experience it. So it's changed a lot. So one point, sometimes completely controversial side. So what is good, the all this became newly investigation became old. So everything is just every time is changing. But the essence of this, the essence of what is food, how we getting life through this. So that's no question. So we know to produce our life, we need to eat. Everybody agree with this. So no question. Even in German, I don't know German language, but I heard it's very exact. Maybe somebody in the audience know this, but the very exact language, how I heard about this. So they have that word for food, like mediator of life. I wouldn't try to say this in German, sage Lebensmittel, something like this, but the translation is this mediator of life. So what does it mean? Well, of course, we understand this. It's mediate. It's put it from when we alive to getting us alive. If there's no food, we cannot live. So, but what is inside of this? Why it is producing life? How it's producing life in us? So, modern science, they found interesting word for this. They call this calorie. So they're giving us energy, and they call this calories. But calories, they packed the label on the package. We can see that label. And it means our life packaged on food in the form of calories, which is, even scientists right now start talking about this, how it is weird, because it's exactly like a gasoline to put in a car and give you energy. But then our body is so interesting, and metabolism so you cannot compare this heat, because the calories actually is a real heat. So when they put the burned food, they take a certain amount of food and burn, and the heat produced from the certain amount called calories. I think it's very strange, and doctors start thinking about this. So one is very interesting. I respect him a lot, Jason Fung. He talked about this. He actually leading to the point our body doesn't have receptors for calories. So it is so strange how they do connect food and amount of energy in food, which produce life, into heating energy, because it's not only heat. So if you take a stone, and stone can get warm from the light, from the sunlight, so it warms. So, but a live thing, which is life in there as a plant, so it should be something else which produce energy in a plant. So we know from the scientific point of view, in biology, we know this is, if it's sun coming to on the leaf, it's have reaction with chlorophyll, and this the green light, and giving the energy, and the leaf became alive. That's what we're actually eating. That's what common in us. It is transformed life from light. So we are basically eating light. Even we eat food from animal, like meat, it is still the same light, because animals, they feed on light. They feed on most of them vegetarian. No, not most of them, but some of them, I think mostly, even they're not vegetarian. Like a cat is not vegetarian, they can get mice, but mice is really vegetarian. So that transferred light from one place to another, giving us energy, which is stored in this form. So the content of our food with eating, what we produce in life, is stored, and the content is matter. So one German Mediterranean time priest, middle-aged priest, Angelus Sibelius, he said, bread does not feed us. What feeds us in bread is God's eternal word. And it is spirit. It's life and it is spirit. I think it is content very good telling about bread, because bread is not filled, the content. So what is content is force. So digesting, consuming something, it's producing force in us, force for life. We can go a little bit deeper in this to tell how it started in human life. So we know this is baby consumed that life from mother, and mother giving that life, baby take milk from the mother, and in 6 months, about 6 months, is transformed to the food, maybe fruit, cow milk, and it can be grains later. So it's a game that transformation from the plants get life, and cow as a straight vegetarian produce this and give people get food from strictly vegetarian to animals. So that transformation of from one stage to another is regular, and I would say it is to seeing inside of what we are doing, how we always been, humanity always been very precious about food, but not right now. So it's getting, so the chain of how it should be, how respect to the God word, what is Angelus Sibelius said, to God's word, it's getting like a more forgotten, because of people became that unconscious about what's going on, what is packaging with the calories. It's not what is real life in this. So how do you get detached from understanding what is really in food? Of course, it is coming from sunlight. We know the sun as a major source of producing a life thing in a plant, especially we're going through the energy in a plant. The plant is itself, we can digest raw, we can take raw food, and we can have digested food. Here is very interesting, because you of course heard about raw food diet, and some of them very interesting information. So how people get treated, sometimes when just placed to the raw food diet and been treated for certain condition. We heard about this. Living in Manhattan, I had experience to be in raw food restaurant. Myself, I didn't really like it, but some people like it. But is it good to have a raw food diet? I don't know, but what I think and how my research mind is getting to this, I think it should be balanced. The diet should be balanced because yes, raw food can be sometimes, but sometimes if it's only raw food, it gets hard for digestion because what is number one is raw, what we consume raw. We consume fruits. So fruits are ripened and they are getting juicy and sweet. They got pre-digested, almost digested. That the taste in them, that is nutrition. They develop all these ferments in them. But so it's pre-digested food actually, the raw food, which is ripened. So housewives or people who cooking very well know this. So when we cook vegetables, some vegetables, which is raw, they became sweeter. So they get digested with cooking. So for some diets, like some diets require cooked food. And if it's weakened digestion, we do cooked food less than raw. On other side is also sometimes we need the raw food. And so my point of view of this, it should be balanced. So you cannot get the energy in thinking about that energy is only in raw food because of getting all these nutrients in them. They are good. So the balance is very, very important. What I would like to get a little bit deeper to understand about light and having be feed on light because of we getting light in life. Some people get that very direct way, and some of them succeed in this. So live on light, and yeah, I'm talking about breatharians. So that I getting a little bit to my second part of I told you about my experience. In my experience, I met one breatharian. About 10 years ago, I met doctor together with my husband, Anton. So we went to Switzerland and some unique way sometimes because I was looking for, I heard about this man, but it happens in life sometimes. He's a physicist, no, chemist. He was a chemist. His name, Michael Werner. He was a head of materials lab in Switzerland and at one pharmaceutical company. And he actually, how he got in that experience was very interesting because he told us, when we met him, he told us the story. We met in the restaurant and had good conversation because there's a lot of, I've been so happy to have opportunity to make this real breatharian. Do you know about breatharianism? So people who don't eat and they have light in themselves, sunlight, and they don't need nutrition. Some of them just drinking water. Michael Werner was drinking water. I'm going to tell a little bit more about him. So the question number one for me was, that was actually, I asked him, is it possible? So I knew it's true. I read how I got with him to have interest to meet with him because I read his book. So the question is it possible? So I know it is possible, but what do you get from this? So I knew it was several years. In the book, they said about 3 years, but in conversation, he said it was about 10 years. So about 10 years, this man, he was actually examined by he gave himself, he said, please do in control environment, they do all measurements, and about 10 days, they confirm he did not eat anything, he just drink water. So he took this, how he get in that experience, he told us he met with a woman. It was some gathering of people, and this next to him was, I think, the friend of his wife. He's a family man, and he was just very nice family. He said it was a friend of my wife who told you why not eating. She was just drinking water. He said, I follow the protocol of Jasmuchin. Jasmuchin was Ellen Green, a woman from Australia, who developed that practice. And she has a protocol about 21 days. Just do this experience being on water. And she said, I'm doing that kind of thing. He got very surprised. He said, it's interesting. She was just doing this. Maybe I'll try. Because Michael Vernon, being anthroposophist and anthroposophical theoretical, they never talk about practicality of it, but as a practice, it's different. But in a theory, Michael Vernon knew it's possible. So he put himself in experiment, and he made it. On my question, do you suggest to do other people to do without food? He said, no, I'm not suggesting, but I suggesting everybody do 21 days. He get experience with teaching people to do that 21 days. On another question, what I asked him, so did it change you, that life without food, living on light, did it change you? He said, it's not changing me at all. I would be the same person as I was before, and I became. So through the practice of, some people followed Jasmuchin protocol, and I researched it before I start talking about this, because she is very controversial, like we said from the beginning, very controversial about all nutrition. She's more controversial because it was in media wise, they said some people they start following, and she was accused of giving that information, people not ready, and somebody died because of this. But nevertheless, it is possible, and he said it's possible, but how to change, how he proved it's possible. So far, it's been very, like I said, controversial, but recently, I start researching very interesting phenomenon by Russian scientist Peter Garyaev. He died several years ago, but he was medical biologist. So he found in genetics very interesting discovery, but discovery became also controversial. But nevertheless, but his discovery about our genes, DNA and RNA, it's possible because they have that ability. They have that linguistic, how he called this, linguistic wave theory. So it's possible body can reproduce their own proteins. So what Michael did experiment, he was chemist, and he did it, but it's now been confirmed, and he said it's possible. So possibility of this. I'm not suggest anybody to do this, but possibility of this So human body so for now so undiscovered. We don't know a lot of things about us. So that's what Peter Garyaev actually discovered. He discovered a very interesting phenomenon about DNA. They have ability to transform genes. Our genes and chromosomes have set different ability. They're mirroring each other. They have what linguistic way is actually language they have. So what is questionable right now is like a lot of questions there. They have some dogma, as any dogma exists in the world itself, especially in science. We have a lot of dogma in science now. So what is the dogma? But they have question about what is actually we don't know. So we don't know, but for right now, it is not confirmed, but possibility of this. So what Michael Werner did, he showed this it's possible. Myself, I never had that. I tried to do 21 days, but I didn't. But I lead as a experience with meeting with Qigong master Zhang She from China. We did 4 days together with him, fasting retreat. And it was interesting because doing exercises during the day and fasting, it was very, people didn't get anything they've been very happy and very, probably because it was in a nice area, it was nice weather, everybody been outside, not in the room. But he's continue doing this. He does in Europe that practice Qigong together with fasting. And he does actually 21 days. Okay, I think it's, if you have questions.
So Zarema, thanks so much for the research. And I did 21 days, and in my 21 days, I want to do more. So I did 40 days, no food.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience in additional to the spiritual there, I would say is still today one of the biggest and the best spiritual experience I ever have. And the consciousness of know what you're eating, know the energy, like you said, bringing. I love and said the bread doesn't feed us, but what feeds us is God. So because God is in everything, no, and the light is in everything, from the sun. On Michael Ivanov teach us to meditate in the sun, to eat first. So feed the soul, no, bring the light to the mind, to the spirit. So this strengthening the spirit will be more conscious to strengthen the physical life on the earth. So my question is to you as a doctor and as a researcher, and one of the problem I have by that time, 40 days, no food, amazing life, opening all my spiritual awareness and even consciousness of being a physical body. This wonderful connection with the centers, this are 4 centers, the chakras, and my intimacy with each one of them, and the way they show themselves to me was, a wonderful experience. So, but what happened is, founder of chronic healing in Hatha Yoga, Master Shua Koksui, at the time I was studying with him. And we were about 800 students in a retreat, spiritual retreat in Brazil. So he looked at me, I have question, and he allowed me to make the question. And I was in my 40 days that time, traveling like 12 hours on the bus, traveling to São Paulo. And he said to me, my question was to him, I don't want to go back to eat. I felt so good as I ever have felt before in my life. Healthier, in harmony, mental, body, spirit, everything was in great symphony. So he said to me, you need to go back to eat.
Yeah.
You need to go back to eat because you remind yourself that you are on earth and you're in a physical body, and the physical body needs to be healthier and need the food. No, you need to eat for you to live a long life, like a breather, or water or tea, no, or only fruit. You need to be in an environment that the air must be very pure. And you cannot find this in a big cities or in a cities where the pollution is so hard on you. So I did slowly came back to eat, didn't wanna, but my question is, why after that 40 days fasting, I could not do more than 3 days ever again. And my body gets stressed every time that I just thinking going to a fasting. And the protein, I was vegetarian for a long time. And so the protein the body needs, the animal protein the body needs now is huge. And I don't know what to do. I don't want to eat, but I have to eat.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna back to Michael Werner because he's partially answered to what you said. I forgot to tell this actually. The other question was, what was the most difficult part for you to do this? He said, social, that we live on food. It's part of our life. And disturbance I got from the family, from the people around was most disturbing. So that interaction and being of not accepted socially, it was one of the difficult part. So when you set up your mind and you did it in this environment, when we set up by your teacher that time, it was part of your experience. And when you do just separately, like as a diet, it is different. So that's kind of again, it is not the content, it's force. So it means you're not getting that force, but you need to continue, and you need the reason for this. So you just want to repeat it, just experience it because I had it some years ago. So you cannot get into the same stage like you had before. That's what actually, we are not the saints. We're not like Saint Teresa who did it. That's why. That's probably, and she has that environment as well to continue that experience. So I think but why animal protein? Because of, again, the same thing as with sosum, but in a plant word sosum. Because animal protein, it is same light, same content, transformed. So like we talk about cooked food, and we talk about raw food. So it is like a cooked food because animal prepare this for you. So they already do that pre-digestion part. And most easiest for human right now to consume, it is protein from animal. Because we all have all ferments in our body, to very easy to get that energy from them. It's easy for them, and it's feed us right now. So my opinion, and I met very good very strict whole life vegetarian, very energetic person. He was surgeon, very good, one of the best surgeon in urologists in New York. And he was Indian, and he was vegetarian from the first day he started. He never, he was strict vegetarian all his life. A lot of energy, a lot of spiritual force, very nice person, I will say, and a light coming from him. He was in 50s something. That's what classical, what I saw in him, classical vegetarian. He was Indian, his digestion, his system, his everything was, like to say, clean for be vegetarian. He can. That's why I think yogis, they do this, what they do with their body. But when our Western people getting into yogic practice, they're not getting what they really yoga do this. They are different. We are different. We build differently. So I think to respect, understand what is about us, what is giving to us, and not to take food as a spiritual force. It's not the how to say giving us for torture. Give us for life. It is life in this, and we're not supposed to manipulate with this. We just have to understand and respect. That's what I think it is. I don't know, I'm answered to your question.
If I may, I'd like to make a couple comments about your presentation. I appreciate Dr. Zarema. At one point in my personal life experience, I was considering becoming full vegetarian. And I was struggling with that decision because I came from a background of carnivores. Okay, don't take away my barbecue, that kind of thing. And consulting with a spiritual someone that I respect a lot, I was giving this answer. Well, Charles, it's not about what you eat, it's about what comes out of your mouth. Because if being vegetarian was the most important spiritual realization in this planet, horses would be the most elevated spirits in this planet. So it's not about what comes in, it's what comes out. That's what really it matters. And studying the spiritist material, we find a lot of information in terms of the magnetism laws, the fluidification processes. In Brazil, at a spiritual center where they conducted a spiritual healing, after every session, cups of water would be placed on the table for every single person that would receive the healing passes, the spiritual healing passes, and be given the medicines. That water was magnetized in a way that it had flavors, it had colors, even texture, because it was created by the spiritual mentors that was conducting that healing process. So I think it's very enriching to know that this kind of information, it's out there for us to study and to bring it together. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the works of Dr. Imoto Masudo, a Japanese man that did experience with the water and magnetization with people's emotions. So I think your study of what you do is so essential because the plants, the food as we know it, is exactly what you're talking about. It's a contribution because in the first book of Allan Kardec, the Spirit's book, he mentions that all matter exists for the benefit of the spirit, and all spiritual energy is for the benefit of the material, of matter. So I think there's a very important connection. I appreciate the work that you're doing because it's bringing more awareness and enlightenment for us. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't have a question except to say if you are familiar with this processes based on the spiritist information materials.
I think it is. Thank you saying this. It's very interesting. Yeah, and right now, I would say, especially with linguistic wave in genetics, some it will come because in science they develop, even they reject it. They saying that about it is not like pseudoscience, but everything with genetic itself, it used to be pseudoscience. Now it is, we live in this. Now everybody knows about what's going on in their body, especially after pandemic. So it's coming, it will know. But that, I think the theory about what is really possible, what you said, the transformation of water in different tastes, when you talk about linguistic wave genetics, it means genes are able to change all the time. What do we call this mutation? That mutation is coming on the every time on a level, different level what we thought. So it's like something was known about, we are just 1% different, our genes 1% different from chimpanzees. So it is just 1%. They don't know the rest of this the same. So how it's possible? So that's what now it's a lot of questions in genetics, and it coming to science is getting deeper. So everything possible. That's what I would say. Yes, it can be different tastes, can be different textures, can be.
Right. Well, considering that our individual state of evolution, advanced or not, I believe that our thought processes have a very important say on the effect of that medication that we absorb. Because if I am prepared spiritually by being aware and being informed about these things, then that water will have a specific effect on me. So I think when Spiritism talks about the importance of individual evolution or inner reform that the Spiritism doctrine promotes, is so essential that we are to continue to that effort to promote that.
Yeah.
Charles, the individual aspects of us. I just came from work, and this older couple was watching this animated Christmas movie, and I think it's Elliot the Littlest, the Reindeer, or something like that. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, I watched the end. I caught the end with one eye, and the message was that we're all completely different, and we need to be honored for our differences. So how is that related to diet? And you all mentioned it, Serena, and thank you so much for your talk. I really enjoyed it. So it's like there's so many diets out there, and believe me, I've been on most of them in my life. I'm one of those who always tries to heal and tries new things. And what I noticed now that I'm a little bit over 60 years old is like every stage, first of all, we're all different. One diet doesn't work for the next. And then within our lifetime, we keep shifting. There's a time when I needed to be raw. There was a time when I even ate raw meat. There was a time when I was vegan. And it doesn't work in the next moment anymore because it's something in my body needed whatever this diet was. And then I got gravely sick. Most of you know that, a few years ago. And it was my son who asked me over breakfast, said, "Mom, why don't you eat?" And I said, "Because everything I want is this unhealthy food you're eating. It's not good for me." And he said to me, "Mom, do you know what your problem is?" You know how kids are always so clear. "You know what your problem is? You're eating with your head. Eat with your heart." And ever since then, totally intuitively about my diet. I ditched all the diets that you find in books and online and all of this. And I just go with my body, and it sometimes changes from day to day. I may not eat meat for months, and all of a sudden I need to have some pork, and that's okay because I feel I need it, And so anyway, and of course, we know through Spiritism that our minds and our emotions, our feelings are overriding everything. Back going to Brazil a lot, to Abadjania, I could never digest gluten. While there, I was totally able to eat the blessed soup every day or certain days of the week, which had gluten in it. And it just, because my vibration was so high that my body automatically knew what to do. And I dropped the thought I can't digest gluten, because that's also a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So I think the overall picture is very fluid from my perspective, from my experience, and fluid, and it's good to tune in, to be really present with our bodies and of course our minds and feelings. Thank
Very
you.
good, Sasha. That's exactly my point. We have a say on the matter.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding about that soup. I was thinking about this too now when you said it was such a delicious thing.
So
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
And Dr. Paulo, the mentor of the group, he always said, remember, the spirit does not need to eat. Remind yourself that you are on the physical body. The body is an animal in evolution. So that body, this animal evolution, needs to eat.
Yeah.
Being a vegetarian, will be born since a child, with the spirit will be planted that life and born in a family that will be bringing that to you. But you were since a mother wound, you came as a mother who eat meat, and you need to, like Sunshine said, you have, her son was very good guiding there. You have to go to the flow with the heart, because the body is the one who needs to be a very good treated and nutrition, with the nutrition that is in need for keeping this healthy, so the spirit can keep navigating on it to learn our lessons here on earth. I get it, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
Thank you for your presentation, Zarema.
Thank you.
Balance, you said that early on, that is key. The balance, where it is, as I've grown throughout my life, has changed. And several people talking today talked about the different type of diets, and I've tried different diets. When I go to the gym, I have an intent of what I want to do. When I get to the gym, my body tells me what I need to do. And I find myself listening to the body of what the body wants in regards to food. And I think Sunshine was talking specifically about that as, hey, I'm okay, I didn't need meat. And then all of a sudden I have this craving. It's the body that's saying, hey, you need this meat, eat it now. And I relate that also, as I was listening to your presentation, to inner transformation, getting to know ourselves, what works for us, and the whole dynamics and the spiritual, the mind, and physicality. And as I listened to your presentation, I also thought about the Native American Indian experience for doing Vision Quest. In Vision Quest, we have to go on a fasting prior to get connected to our spirit at a higher level. I have gone on those Vision Quests before, and what I find in the fasting is in the beginning, it's always so difficult to do the fasting because I want to eat. My mind is thinking about eating, but if I allow the body to get past that moment, food doesn't seem to be, I don't crave it as much. I'll want some water to hydrate. I have never gone the 40 days, and I would just imagine what it would be like. I've gone 3 to 7 days. and I haven't fasted for quite some time, and your presentation makes me think that it's almost time to do another vision quest and do that fasting. I don't know if I'll make it to 40 days, but I applaud everyone who has, because I have found, even in the 3 to 7 day period, there is this heightened awareness that occurs that I almost relate it to going to John of God in Brazil and being there and having that spiritual experience there, and then I come back here and I'm at this heightened awareness, and then finally it wears off. And I guess and when I fasted and when I went back to food, then it began to wear off. But I'm always trying to keep that balance in regards to the physicality, the spiritual, and the mind. And thank you again for your presentation. And I just want to ask the floor if there's anybody else who wishes to share before we take a break and move on to the second part of our service.
You know, when I grew up, my grandparents and mother and them used to always have us go on well, it started with like a 1 day fast, or it would be a 2 or 3, but always we had to fast. And predominantly it would be like on a Sunday, of course. And then at the end of the day, which was a very long day, we would eat. But they never really talked about the importance of it on a spiritual level. It was vaguely mentioned, but you know, I remember it though, and I always felt like it was a very important thing to do, at least once in a while, to go without eating, to let the body just do what it needed to do without plowing food in it, you know. And even to today, there's some days I would just not, I don't want anything, but I have to have something, but I don't really want anything. But I'm glad for that experience, because later I learned that it's connected to a spiritual healing for the body. So, but yeah, that's what your presentation reminded me of. And it is important to pay attention to what we put in our bodies. Although junk food is always good, you know, it tastes good, it's always attractive. And this is where I think a lot of that discipline comes in. Well, you have to practice discipline on cravings. Some people are better at it than others. You know, I'm still working. I'm a work in progress. Thank you for your presentation.
Can you give us any guidance on good selections and choices, or poor selections of things to incorporate in our food?
Okay, I can. Maybe I will surprise you. Maybe not.
Great.
Of course, it's table sugar is not good. A little bit honey is good. Coffee and milk, not good at all. Because the science is fun. Something like between coffee and milk is getting something undigestible product in our guts. They found evidence of this.
So
Which
it's better
surprised
to
me.
the pure
Yeah,
coffee without milk, or no coffee,
Yeah,
no milk?
no, coffee is good, milk is also good, but coffee and milk, not a good combination.
Separate them, okay.
Yeah, they separate them. And the first time I read it in Edgar Cayce, it was strict in him. He said, never take coffee and milk together. But now I found it is scientifically proven. It's interesting.
So what
Yeah.
about the creamers, and what about the, like, is that any milk, oat milk, almond milk?
No,
Any milk?
probably, yeah, I think it's milk, the milk, oat milk. Maybe this would not do something of combination with coffee, but milk they found. And I know this his suggestion was Edgar Casey's suggestion, one of those. But I think it's almond milk is
Well, I went to a nutritionist one time to a lecture, and she talked about the cow milk versus goat milk. And she said, if you just pay attention to the cow and how it just mows along, but the goat is agile, it's moving around. She said, that's the same process in your body when you're eating the cow, the milk and the cheese and all that. And how it affects. I never forgot that anyway. I thought it was kind of cool.
yeah. Maybe
All right.
that's what.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
We
your
can talk a lot
presentation.
about food. I like that. Tanya
I
knows
have
this.
I had a question is that I believe that the observer can change the benefit of the food, of anything that we are observing. And
Yes.
yes, and that is for the people who are not spirituality, they don't know the name. They are, but they don't know the name. And they eat with positive watching, observing, and they don't get sick. That is that one night, 7 of my friends, they went to the restaurant and they ate food, the same food, and 5 of them, they had to go to the hospital because their stomach upset. And 2 of them, they liked the food and they didn't get any problem. And when we came together and we talked, that was only that the other 5, they didn't like the food. They had a negative point about the food, and the other 2, they liked it. They accepted what it is. This observer, do you think that has an effect on the food or not? Thank you.
Yes. Blessing on the food. That's what. Never forget it.
Thank you for the presentation, Zarema. For the sake of time, let's go ahead and take our break. Come back in at 11:10 Pacific Standard Time, and we'll begin the second half of our presentation. Tanya, Regina, do you know who is doing the meditation with for the healing in the second half today?
Yeah, I will do the healing, and I don't know who has the passes for the control. Do you have, Teresa?
I think I do. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I'll check it out.
Okay.